members. So there's no gallery members that need to be sworn in. Is that right? Did I get that right?
That's correct. We're asking anybody that, not asking, we're telling anybody that is not. Yeah, no, but you still need to swear in the witness. Okay. Sorry, I started the live stream, but we're asking anybody that is not a participating team member that if they're a coach, a non-participating team member, other observer for the team, parent, sibling, whatever it may be, to watch through the YouTube live stream service and not be in the courtroom. That is where you need to be if you're trying to watch what's going on and not be in the courtroom. So if you are not a participating team member or a presiding judge or a scoring panelist, we want you to go to the YouTube live stream and watch the round there. So I still don't have Judge Katzman. So I thought he was getting on. Let me find out what's going on and then we'll get you started. Okay, we should have everybody now. I think Judge Katzman is now in. So we will let you get started. And so we have all of the members of team number 5 and team number 1. So
all right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric Bentley. I'm the judge in this courtroom. I'm going to go through the pretrial procedures with you. Let me note, for purposes of the pretrial procedures and of the trial, I don't regularly practice in your court. I'm not familiar with your rules, except to the extent they may be similar with the ones that we use here in the Colorado state courts. I have very limited familiarity with the fact pattern that you're going to be presenting. And so I'm going to be relying on all of you to do a couple of things for me. First, with respect to procedures. If I am proceeding in a way that's inconsistent with the procedures that you're used to in this court, please don't be shy, just respectfully let me know. Same with if you're raising objections and so forth during the trial, please cite to your rules And I'm going to assume that for the most part, they'll be similar to the Colorado rules of evidence that I'm familiar with, but I actually don't know if that's true. So anyway, I'm going to be relying on you to not be shy and to take the lead and educate me properly as needed. So I'm going to go through the pretrial procedures. Again, I'm not familiar with them, and some of them that I'm reading from may be slightly inapt for the online venue that we're using, but I guess we'll work through that as we go. So team 5 for the plaintiff, are you ready for trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
Team 1 for the defense, are you ready for trial?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
Very good, thanks. I'm supposed to ask you next for copies of your trial roster. I'm not quite sure how that works when we're on Zoom. So team 5, is that something that you'll cover by when I just ask for in a few minutes for each of you to introduce me to the team members, or is there some kind of roster that you're going to be presenting me separately from that?
Your Honor, we are going to put our Team 5 roster in the group chat.
In the group chat, okay.
We just shared that with you.
Give me 1 second to see if I can okay, let me pull it up. Very good. I'll take a minute to have that open. I guess I'll ask the defense, are you doing the same? Or does that roster cover both?
No, Your Honor, that roster only covers Team 5.
Very good. Then team 1, will you be doing the same?
Your Honor, we do not have a roster prepared. However, we were going to let you know of all the people attending when we introduced ourselves as the defense.
Very good. Thanks. Okay. All right. The next part of the pretrial procedures, again, I'm not sure.
Your
if
Honor,
this- Yes.
I'm so sorry. We actually put in the wrong roster.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
do you have a correct one to replace it with?
We are working on that right at the
Okay.
moment.
Okay, I'll just continue proceeding through the steps. Thanks for letting me know.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the next step on the pretrial procedures is to ask if video recorders are present and being used, that both teams have approved the taping of the round. I guess that might be applicable even though we're online. So is anyone recording? And if so, have both teams approved the taping?
Being made by Ms. Inks. I'm just looking, so how is counsel going to show their witness proposing that you're going to have the entire courtroom, and then that only happens?
Okay, we had someone speaking there. I wasn't sure who it was, and then I lost that person. Let's see. I'm going to assume for purposes of these pretrial procedures that I'll be hearing just from a designated spokesperson for each team. So designated spokespeople, are these proceedings being recorded? And if so, have both teams approved the taping of the round?
Both teams have approved of taping the round.
Okay, very good, thanks. All right, now I'm supposed to inform you that the Colorado Bar Association be taking photographs of the competition. And I don't know if that applies, but in the event it does, I guess you're on notice. The procedures say I'm supposed to inform you that no recesses will be allowed, but I'm going to, other than for a health emergency, I'm going to make a small exception to that. We're going to take a 3 or 4 minute recess between the plaintiff's case and the defense case for a short comfort break. I guess if either of the teams have an objection to that, you could speak up now. Otherwise, we'll do that. All right, I didn't hear any objection. Now, the next questions are addressed to the scoring panelists, Ms. Pearson and Judge Katzman. I'm required to now ask each of you if either of you has any reason to be biased in judging either team.
No, Your Honor.
Judge Katzman? We may be having a technical problem with Judge Katzman. He appears to be muted. Judge Katzman, if you can hear, try and unmute yourself and give us your answer. Since he may be having a technical problem, I'll move ahead, and hopefully when Judge Katzman, if you've solved your technical problem, you can come back on later and answer that question. All right, the teams and coaches are reminded that any disputes arising out of the competition must be reported in accordance with the competition rules. Teams, your compliance with time requirements will be considered in scoring individual performances. The next question, I'm not sure whether this applies in light of the Zoom format, but I'll just ask the team representatives to respond. I'm supposed to confirm that no coach or team member other than a timekeeper is seated in the jury box. I'm not quite sure what it means to be seated in the jury box when we're here on Zoom.
Your
So
Honor, there is no other coaches or anyone in our room we are in except for the 3 attorneys and our timekeeper.
Very good, thank you. All right, now I'm going to ask each side to introduce the participating team members. Before and I'm going to ask everybody to do it slowly so that I and the scoring panelists can make sure that we get down your names in a nice, comfortable grid that we can refer to. Let me see if I can get back to Judge Katzman, make sure he can hear me. Judge Katzman, can you hear me?
I can. Are you able to hear me?
Yes. Were you
Yeah.
able to hear me before when I was required to ask each scoring panelist if they have any reason to be biased in judging either team?
No, I have no reason, and I apologize. I was having some technical difficulties.
Well, and so for the students as well, technical difficulties are a given when we're on Zoom. So don't panic if you have technical difficulties. We'll take the time needed to solve them as we go. Very good. Would team 5 please again go nice and slowly, introduce yourselves in slow way so that I and the scoring panelists can take down your rosters.
Your Honor, members of the jury and the public council, my name is Ariana and I will be delivering.
Now, I guess it's probably good, since this is Zoom and we've got a whole trial in front of us, it's probably good to address technical problems up front. So I should add to the other pretrial procedures that if anyone is having trouble hearing me or the lawyer or witness, to speak up. So I'll start this off by saying, ma'am, I was having trouble hearing you there. Why don't you try again?
Your Honor, members of the jury, opposing counsel, my name is Ariana and I will be delivering the opening statement for plaintiff, and along with giving the direct examination for Carson Doss, and I will be crossing Blake Doncourt.
Thank you, Ms. Ferrer.
Your Honor, member of the jury and opposing counsel, I am Mariah Smith, and I will be directing Dakota Weirs and crossing Dr. Devin Williams.
One second. I'm going to open a page so that I have the names of those witnesses in front of me. I know you've all memorized them. Give me one second. And then would you, because I was slow there, Ms. Smith, would you repeat which witnesses you're handling?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, I am Mariah Smith, and I will be directing Dakota Weirs and crossing Dr. Devin Williams.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, my name is Catherine Lawrence. I will be directing Casey Rogers, crossing Skylar Weirs, and providing the closing argument. At this time, our witnesses would like to introduce themselves.
Give me 1 second to catch up and then we'll do that. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, my name is Sophie Scher, and I am Dr. Casey Rogers.
1 second. Could you, I can see, so it was helpful to me when I heard your names, the names of counsel, because your names show up on the boxes, the Zoom boxes. Here, I think I'm getting for the witnesses the name of the witness rather than the student. Would you mind repeating your actual name?
My name is Sophie Scher, Your Honor.
Sophie Scher, thank you. Ms. Scher.
Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, my name is Isabel Laredo, and I am Carson Durst.
Laredo, is it, ma'am? Thank you,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Laredo.
Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, my name is Eliza Mitchell, and I am Dakota Weirs.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Did that cover all of Team 5?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, everybody. I'll hear from Team 1.
Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, I'm Victoria Scheibe, and I will be delivering the opening statement, crossing Dakota Weirs, and doing the direct of Skylar Weirs.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Scheibe.
Wait. Your Honor, jury, and members of the opposing counsel, I'm Attorney Ani Hardesty, and I will be directing Dr. Devin Williams and crossing Dr. Casey Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. Hardesty.
Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, I am Estevan Vega. I'm an attorney for the defense, and I will be crossing Carson Durst, doing the direct of Blake Doncourt, and providing the closing arguments for the defense.
Thank you, Mr. Vega.
Your Honor, at this time, the witnesses for the defense will now introduce themselves.
Thank you.
Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, I am Jude Wazel. I'm Blake Doncourt.
Could you give me your name again?
Jude Wazel.
With the last name is?
Walzl.
Thanks. Sometimes I apologize. I don't mean anything by it. Sometimes I struggle with names coming over Zoom. Thank you.
Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, my name is Mark DeGia, and I will be Dr. Devin Williams.
Would you mind repeating your name? I apologize.
Mark DeGia.
How do you spell the last name?
DE space GUIA.
Thank you. Mr. DeGia, thank you.
Honor. I am Cecily Nixon. I am echoey. Playing as Skylar Weirs, and I'm testifying as an expert witness.
Thank you, Ms. Nixon. Have I got everybody on both teams now?
Yes, you do, Your Honor.
Okay, I assume I've got everybody on both teams now. So I'm going to now swear in first the team members, then the scoring panelists, and then the witnesses. It says in the instructions that I'll ask all members in the courtroom to stand for the swearing in. Let me, since we're on Zoom, why don't I ask everyone in the courtroom then to stand and also activate your video on the Zoom so I can see you all. And I think Steve, I think we're still waiting for you. Judge Katzman. All right, I think we're getting the video. Excellent. All right. Team members, please raise your right hands. Team members, do you promise that the presentation you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the mock trial competition?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. I guess I've got all of you. Thank you. I guess before I do each group, I have to ask you to unmute yourselves. So witnesses, please unmute yourselves. Witnesses, please raise your right hands. Witnesses, do you promise that the testimony you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to your witness statements, that you will not add material facts or opinions which are not contained in the case problem, and that you will follow the rules and procedures of the mock trial competition?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, scoring panelists, please unmute yourselves and raise your right hands. Do you promise to adjudicate the mock trial competition as fairly and objectively as possible in accordance with the facts, procedures, and rules of the mock trial competition?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, that completes the pretrial procedures. Is the plaintiff's team ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then please, when you're ready, please do so.
Your Honor, may I give some preliminary matters?
Please.
On behalf of both teams, let the record reflect that one of my team members will be posting the appropriate trial rosters for competition in the Zoom chat for the purposes of exchanging rosters as a preliminary matter.
Thank you.
Also, let the record reflect that both teams have agreed to the stipulated facts and the jury instructions for this case, and will also be entered into this chat for yourself and for the jury to be considered constructively read into the record.
Thank you, Ms. Farrar.
Your Honor, we request the court's permission for recross examination.
What was the permission for?
Your Honor, it was for the for recross examinations.
Recross. Okay, granted.
Your Honor, we also ask that pursuant to the competition rule 7.4, that when an exhibit is shown to a witness, a member of the examining attorney's team will be able to pull up that exhibit utilizing the Zoom screen sharing factors. Additionally, we all exhibits or other documents posted in this manner are deemed to not have been shown to the jury unless the council asked for them to be published.
Very good.
Also, according to competition rule 4.7, no additional edits are to be made to the documents, including markings and enlargements outside of today's trial, and will only be allowed if edits were made in today's trial utilizing the Zoom annotation tools. In addition, pursuant to Rule 7.4, we can utilize Zoom annotation tools to enlarge documents during the trial.
Very good.
Additionally, we ask that all evidence be deemed to have been constructively handed to opposing counsel for their review.
Very good.
Your Honor, if at any point in the trial the court cannot hear or see the witness or attorney, please feel free to interrupt us at any point.
Thank you, I will. And I'll ask the same of counsel and witnesses. Please don't be shy. Please speak up if you're having trouble hearing anyone.
Your Honor, we understand that sound quality and internet connectivity may vary at all times throughout this trial, and we ask that if either team experiences difficulties in regards to internet connection, that the court stop all proceedings and time to allow the witness or attorney to come back and re-ask or answer their question to the full capacity of their ability.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Your Honor, we ask that our timekeepers be allowed to post time remaining publicly within the Zoom chat feature throughout this trial to ensure that we meet time demands as this is a timed trial.
Yes, of course.
And Your Honor, as the plaintiff, we ask that all time remaining on closing arguments be reserved for rebuttal at the end of the trial.
Very good.
That is all. We have no further preliminary matters to attend to at this time, Your Honor.
Very good. Give me 1 second. I'm going to disappear from the video to pick up something off my printer. When I return momentarily, then you may proceed with your opening statement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Farrar, when you're ready, you may proceed with your opening.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, members of the jury, opposing counsel, this is a tragic story of a young woman, our client, who was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She is seeking to hold Lush Fertilizer accountable for utilizing a chemical in their fertilizer, Drufo, that resulted in this illness, which is linked to being carcinogenic, cancerous. Dakota Wheelers worked from the time she was 14 with landscaping companies that utilize the use of various fertilizers, including Lush Fertilizer. Dakota Wheelers had her full life ahead of her. She was an active member of the community, a pianist, and had a bright future ahead of her. She was preparing to go to college. Her life was thrown into shambles when she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Due to the cancer, her passion, the piano, has been taken away from her. She bruises when she tries to do what she loves most, play the piano. Furthermore, she has no strength to even play the piano. She suffers daily from swollen lymph nodes that are painful and uncomfortable. She has chills and chest pain. Dakota Wheelers is in agony every day. This is as tragic as this case is, it is also as simple as ABC: accountability, believability, and culpability. As the plaintiff, we must prove that Lush Fertilizer was negligent in its use of Drufel, which resulted in Dakota's illness and subsequent loss of quality of life. Accountability. You will hear from Dr. Casey Rogers, who will testify on her research and the link between Drufel and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Carson Durst, a former employee of Lush Fertilizer, who will testify that Lush Fertilizer knew of the potential links and rather than address it, buried the research. And Dakota Weirs will testify to her loss of quality of life. Believability. Dr. Casey Rogers will testify to her extensive research and knowledge. Carson Durst, who has first-hand knowledge of the workings of Lush Fertilizer. And Dakota Weirs, her life then and now, the loss of quality of life. Culpability. Miss Durst and Dr. Rogers will testify that Lush Fertilizer is culpable for Dakota Weirs' injuries. A, B, C. Accountability, believability, and culpability. At the end of this trial, we will be asking you to find Lush Fertilizer was negligent and to award the damages in the amount of $200,000 for loss of quality of life, pain, and suffering. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Farrar. Does the defense have an opening statement they wish to present?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed when you're ready.
Non-Hodgkin lymphoma, a crushing cancer diagnosis for 20-year-old Dakota Weirs, but it was not caused by Drufel, a chemical produced by my client Lush Fertilizer. Weirs worked for years with many fertilizers and chemicals. Science shows that other pesticides have clear links to causing cancer, whereas the link of Drufel and cancer is unclear, as will be presented by expert witness Dr. Devin Williams and assisted by Agritech expert witness Skylar Weirs. There is no proof that it was Drufel. Mrs. Weirs will present evidence to try and convince you that she was unaware of the possible danger, but Lush Fertilizer has always tried to provide maximum safety for their employees. You will hear from Chief Executive Officer of Lush Fertilizer, Blake Downcourt, proving that Lush Fertilizer conducted studies through extensive research and tests to ensure the safety of using Drufel before and after putting it on the market. The company also advised its employees to use protective equipment and wear proper clothing when working with the chemical. Weirs deliberately ignored safety protocols, a fact admitted in her own statement. Now, cancer is a serious illness and not to be taken lightly, as we wish Dakota well in recovery, but in the evidence that we presented, it will not be seen that her diagnosis was based solely on the use of Drufel, as the company did everything they could to provide for the safety of their employees, encouraging the use of safety coverings. Based on these aforementioned factors, you, the jury, will see in this trial that the plaintiff will not have proved its burden by a preponderance of the evidence and find Lush Fertilizer not liable. But if you do, find the plaintiff also liable for contributory negligence. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. The plaintiff may call their first witness.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call Dr. Casey Rogers to the stand.
Please proceed when you're ready.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Casey Rogers. It's Rogers.
Hello, Ms. Rogers. What is your current profession?
I'm employed as a professor at the University of California at Berkeley in the Horticulture and Entomology Department.
What educational background do you have?
I attended both the University of California at Berkeley and Colorado State University. I earned my PhD in agriculture and entomology at Berkeley and my Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry and agriculture at CSU.
Upon completion of your PhD, how have you developed your area of expertise?
I've researched and published numerous articles on the impact of prolonged exposure to various chemicals.
What kinds of articles have you published?
Most of my publications have been on the effects and characteristics of a chemical called Drufo. I did a survey on the frequency of multiple resistance to Drufo. From environmental sciences, I did a review on the evidence of human exposure to Drufo, and I've also done a review on Drufo toxicity and carcinogenicity with the environmentalist.
And how has this research been used?
My research has been used in court, by companies, by regulatory agencies, and even before administrative advisory boards.
Your Honor, pursuant to Rule 702, based upon her knowledge and her education, I am tendering Dr. Casey Rogers as a qualified expert witness in the field of chemistry and agricultural herbicides in order to render an opinion on the safety of pesticides, fertilizers, and other agricultural products.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, the witness is accepted as an expert as proffered.
Now, Dr. Rogers, earlier you mentioned your research and publications in the area of the harmful effects of chemicals. Can you explain this?
For years, I've studied the potentially harmful effects that prolonged exposure to various chemicals can have on the body. I've done this research on many different chemicals, including Drufo, which was already previously found to be carcinogenic or cancer-causing in rats.
What is Drufo?
It's a patented bonding agent used in all Lush fertilizer products, primarily in their fertilizer to keep it preserved and intact.
And how did you first become aware of Drufo?
I follow many agricultural products, but Drufo caught my attention when it first came on the market. I believe it was rushed to the market.
How do you think it was rushed to the market?
I believe there weren't sufficient studies done behind its safety before it was released.
And after coming to this conclusion, what actions did you take to remedy this?
I conducted my own study on the potentially harmful effects that Drufo may have.
How is this study conducted?
The study was done using 3 different groups, focusing on their exposure rates. There was a control group of people who had never been exposed to the chemical, a group of people who used the chemical on occasion, and a group of people who were exposed to Drufo on a regular, almost daily basis, like farm laborers and gardeners. The groups were monitored over a period of years following their exposure to the chemical.
Your study was done using 3 different groups. What did you find in this study pertaining to Drufo?
There was an increase in serious diagnoses and health conditions found in the groups that were exposed to Drufo as opposed to the control group, more so in the group with the most exposure, specifically an increase in incidences of cancer, including non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
And what exactly is non-Hodgkin lymphoma?
It's a specific type of cancer that affects the white blood cells, part of the lymphatic system, the immune system. It's not a genetic disease and is usually caused by environmental conditions, such as pesticides exposure to pesticides. The pesticides can be absorbed through the skin or inhaled through the respiratory system. Like most cancers, once it's spread, non-Hodgkin lymphoma can be controlled, but it can never be cured.
Dr. Rogers, in your expert opinion, can Drufo cause cancer?
In my expert opinion, based on my research and my findings, I have found that Drufo can cause cancer, and particularly the form of cancer known as non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which afflicts the plaintiff in this case today.
And who is the plaintiff in this case today?
The plaintiff is Dakota Weirs. She worked for a landscaping company, Haven Landscaping, for the past 4 years, but she can no longer work there after her diagnosis.
And what is Dakota's medical condition?
She's been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
Dr. Rogers, in your expert opinion, was the plaintiff's non-Hodgkin lymphoma caused by Drufo?
After reviewing Dakota Weirs' employment records, I can confirm that the level of Weirs' exposure while using Lush fertilizer products while working for the landscaping company was similar to the level of that of the third group in my previous study done on Jufo, the group with the most exposure. After reviewing her medical records, I can say that, in my expert opinion, there is a high degree of medical probability that Dakota Weirs' non-Hodgkin lymphoma was caused by prolonged exposure to Jufo.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Hi, Dr. Rogers. Okay. So you said in the beginning that you independently conducted a research study on Jufo, correct?
Yes.
And before this, you were suspicious of Jufo.
I was.
So is it possible that you were maybe looking for a certain outcome when you conducted your research?
I did my research to test my hypothesis that Jufo may have a causal link to cancers.
Okay. And your hypothesis was that, that it caused cancer, correct? Okay. According to your study, you came to the conclusion that Jufo was in fact carcinogenic?
Correct.
And you did this research on your own. Was it ever published in any kind of academic journal?
This study was not. It's a very recent study.
Okay, so it wasn't peer reviewed either?
It was not.
And has it been replicated ever?
It has not been.
Okay. Just one moment, please. Within your research, you studied 3 different groups, right?
Correct.
And 2 of those groups used fertilizers, at least on occasion.
Jufo, Lush fertilizer products,
Okay.
yes.
And the group that used the Jufo the most were farmers and gardeners?
Correct.
Is it safe to say that while farming and gardening, they could have used other fertilizers?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
All right, Ms. Hardesty, your response?
I'm asking of her expert opinion of whether it's possible that they could have been using other fertilizers.
Her expertise is in agricultural herbicides to render an opinion on pesticides, fertilizers, and other products, not on the people who use them.
Okay.
All right, then I'll sustain the objection.
So I move that question and answer be stricken from the record.
Granted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, let's switch topics here. In your witness statement, you said that you suggest users of Jufo or Lush fertilizers wear an N95 mask and clothing with plenty of coverage.
Correct.
Your Honor, can I show Dr. Rogers Exhibit 1 at this time?
You may.
Okay. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm trying to share my screen right now and pull up the correct.
Yeah, take as much time as you need.
Okay.
Well, I understand there may be technical issues.
Okay, I think I figured it out here. Let's see. Just one more. Here we go. Okay, can everybody see Exhibit 1, Your Honor? Can you see that?
Yeah, it looks like maybe it needs to be rotated. I don't know if you know how to do that.
I don't know how to rotate it. I'm sorry. I know this is kind of difficult.
Okay, then I understand. We'll do our best then.
Dr. Casey or Dr. Rogers, are you aware of this exhibit Have you seen this before?
It looks like a Lush fertilizer label.
Yes, that's it. That it is Lush Fertilizer's warning label. Under user safety recommendations, they do suggest that their users wear some kind of respirator or N95 mask while using this product. Do you see that?
I do.
So when you suggested that they wear an N95 mask, do you think this warning label would be sufficient in suggesting that to its users?
My study was done independent of the Lush Fertilizer Company. I was doing it to come to a conclusion myself. And as that study was never actually able to finish, it was inconclusive. So I'm not quite sure.
Yes, I'm asking about your witness statement where you say that you would suggest users use an N95 mask.
I did say that, yes, that study was inconclusive, however.
Okay.
Objection, Your Honor. Cumulative, this evidence has not been properly entered or published to the jury yet.
All right. I'll hear Ms. Hardesty's response.
Oh, what exhibit is she talking about?
I think if the questions are about Exhibit 1, I think the objection is that it hasn't been admitted or published yet, so it's premature to ask questions about the exhibit.
Okay. Sorry, at this time, can I move to exhibit and publish Exhibit 1?
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Exhibit 1 is admitted and you may publish. And now you may continue.
Your Honor, I ask that the questions that have already been asked about this be stricken from the record.
They will be. You can start again on the questions on this exhibit, Ms. Hardesty.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Casey Rogers, do you recognize this exhibit?
It's a Lush fertilizer label.
Yes, it's a Lush fertilizer warning label. Now, in your witness statement, you suggested that Lush fertilizer users or users of Drufo wear an N95 mask, correct?
I did. My study, as I've said before, was inconclusive, however.
Okay, and do you see on the exhibit right under user safety recommendations where it suggests that their users wear a respirator or N95 mask while dealing with this product?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And did you know that Dakota Weirs was aware of this warning when he used products from Lush Fertilizer?
I don't speak to that in my statement, so I can answer if you would like me to, but.
Okay. Well, from his witness statement, we know that he chose not to wear an N95 mask. Could you speak to that as whether that could have an effect on or if his negligence could have an effect on his development of non-Hodgkin lymphoma?
As Dakota has not yet testified and made the statement himself, I can't testify to that myself since it's not in my statement.
Okay, I'll switch topics here. You mentioned that in your witness statement, it says that you've never been in litigation before.
My research has been used in litigation. This is my first time testifying.
I'm sorry, this is your first time testifying as an expert witness, correct?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance?
I'll hear from Ms. Hardesty in response.
Credibility of witness.
Ms. Lawrence?
No response.
All right, I'll allow the questioning.
Okay, and you also mentioned that you wish to continue to testify as an expert witness in maybe other cases, including with Drufo.
I believe that this case will open more class action lawsuits, and I would like to be at the forefront of that.
And you are going to be making some money from this case, correct?
That's not in my witness statement. Again, I can still answer the question if you would like me to, but
No, that's okay. I just have a few more questions. You're not a medical physician, are you?
that is not my area of expertise, no.
Your Honor, just 1 minute. I'm trying to stop sharing my screen.
Okay,
Just
sure.
1 moment, please.
Yeah, take the time you need.
Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry. Let me repeat that. You're not a medical physician, are you?
I am not.
So therefore, you cannot diagnose Dakota Weirs with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, right?
She has already been diagnosed, and I've reviewed her medical records.
Sorry, I mean, you cannot determine where her non-Hodgkin's lymphoma came from.
I can say, as I've stated previously, that through my research and my review of her medical and employment records, that there is a high degree of medical probability that her cancer was caused by exposure to Drufo.
But let it be known that her records do not state that her non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was developed from using lush fertilizer, correct?
Her medical records would only cover her diagnosis, not the cause. That's
okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Hardesty, Ms. Lawrence, any redirect?
Oh my God.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Rogers, are you a medical physician?
I am not.
But through the research you have done on pesticides and Drufo, have you been able to make certain judgment calls about what what have been your judgment calls as to what most likely caused Dakota's cancer?
As I said before, through my previous study done on Drufo, as well as my review of Dakota Weirs' employment and medical records, I know that she was exposed to lush fertilizer products for extended periods of time. And I can say that there is a high degree of medical probability that her non-Hodgkin lymphoma was caused by prolonged exposure to Drufo.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Hardesty, any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Very good. Thank you, counsel. Plaintiff may call their next witness.
May my witness step down, Your Honor?
Your witness may step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, may we call Carson Doss to the stand?
You may.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Carson Durst. That's Durst.
What do you do for a living?
I'm currently the lead product developer for Terra's Greenery.
What is Terra's Greenery?
Terra's Greenery is the fertilizer company that is in competition with Lush Fertilizer.
How long have you been working at Terra's Greenery?
I've been working at Terra's Greenery since 2006.
Where did you start your career?
I started my career working as an intern at Lush Fertilizer on the research and development team in 2003.
And how long did you work for Lush Fertilizer?
I worked for Lush Fertilizer for about 3 years.
And after you served as an intern, what did you do for Lush Fertilizer?
I was promoted to product development engineer.
Do you know who the Doncourts are?
The Doncourts are the founders of Lush Fertilizer, and their father, Blake Doncourt, is the CEO.
What was the Doncourt family to you?
The Doncourts are like the family I never had. Charles Doncourt and I were on the travel soccer team together, which meant Sunday night dinners at their house. And even during the summer, we would go to the lake house. All that seems like a lifetime ago.
How long did you... I'm sorry. How long did... How long did you have your job at Lush Fertilizer?
I was there for 3 years.
Moving on, what is Drufo?
Drufo is a patenting bonding agent that Lush Fertilizer developed to keep its products preserved and intact.
What was your involvement in Drufo?
I worked on the research and development team to develop Drufo along with other scientists at the company.
As part of that research, what did you discover?
I found one study from England, which concluded that Drufo was carcinogenic in rats.
What happened after you found the study that said Drufo was potentially carcinogenic?
I was promoted right after the study, and then we got word that Lush Fertilizer was doing another in-house study, this time relating specifically to whether Drufo is potentially carcinogenic in humans.
How did the company react after the team discovered this in-house study?
Jerry, the product manager, gathered us all in a conference room to discuss our findings. Upper management was there as well.
What was revealed in this meeting with management and upper management present?
One of our scientists expressed concern that not only may Drufo contain a carcinogen, but that her analysis found that it may be perhaps linked to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
And what was management's response to this?
Let's keep it in the walls until we find out what we're doing. One of our own scientists found that Drufo was carcinogenic in its non-baked form, or that was linked to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And this was nowhere in the report. There was no accountability.
So, what is your understanding of Lush Fertilizer's knowledge of Drufo being potentially carcinogenic?
I have no doubt that Lush Fertilizer knew about Drufo being linked to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and did their best to water down the studies and bury the causal link.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Farrar. Do we have cross-examination?
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Good evening, Ms. Durst. You work for Terrace Greenery, correct?
That is correct.
And you are the lead product developer?
That is correct.
Before you began working with Terrace Greenery, you were previously employed by Lush Fertilizer?
Yes.
You were employed in 2003 as an intern?
That is correct.
And Blake Doncourt is now the CEO of that company, Lush Fertilizer?
Yes.
You stated that the Doncourt family was like the family you never had.
Yes.
In fact, you and Charles Doncourt became best friends.
Yes.
You ended up attending Arizona State University alongside Charles?
Yes.
However, you did not finish at the top of your class. Is this correct?
That is correct.
However, that really didn't matter. You were sure that your connection with the Doncourts, you were sure that Blake Doncourt would be able to pull some strings and hire you at Lush Fertilizer.
Not exactly.
How so?
Charles Doncourt is the one who gave me the information about the internship at Lush Fertilizer.
So going back to my previous question, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Charles Doncourt ensured you that you would be able to find a job with, at Lush Fertilizer.
Yes.
After receiving that job, you rose through the ranks rather quickly, and you got a promotion after only 3 months?
That is correct.
While working at Lush Fertilizer, you were tasked with researching a chemical compound that comprised Drufo, is that correct?
That is correct.
While researching the chemical compound that comprised Drufo, you found an English study that determined that this chemical was carcinogenic in rats?
Yes.
However, you failed to find a study that found it carcinogenic in humans.
Yes.
Did you document this study in your notebook?
Yes,
And Jerry Langley was your supervisor at the time, correct?
that's correct.
Jerry Langley was supposed to review your notebook.
Yes.
However, you cannot be entirely sure that he actually did.
Objection, speculation.
Mr. Vega?
This evidence that, or excuse me, this testimony was found in the witness statement. It cannot be speculation if it was found in the witness statement.
Ms. Farrar?
I still believe that it could be considered speculation if Miss Doss was just trying to be completely honest during her affidavit. There could be speculation within that.
Okay, thank you, counsel. I'll allow the testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor. So let me re-ask the question. Jerry Langley, you cannot be sure that Jerry Langley actually did review your notebook.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Yes, of course. You are not entirely sure that Jerry Langley actually did review your notebook. Sorry.
That is correct.
So isn't it fair to say that you actually had no idea what was going on in the higher ups at the time?
You could say that.
So, sorry, give me one moment, Your Honor. So many in the company believe that you only had your job at Lush Fertilizer due to your relationship with the Downcourts. Is this correct?
That is correct.
And your performance reviews began to reflect that. As a matter of fact, your performance reviews, excuse me, let me rephrase that. You began to receive poor performance reviews. Is this correct?
That is correct.
Towards the end of your tenure at Lush Fertilizer, you and Jerry Langley did not get along.
Objection, relevance.
Credibility.
Mr. Vega?
Oh, sorry. Credibility of the witness. Sorry, I don't know why I'm struggling so hard to say that word.
Okay. Any response to that, Ms. Farrar?
I don't believe that this is credibility. I feel like this is more of an attack on Miss Doss than anything else.
I'll allow the question.
Let me go ahead and re-ask the question, Ms. Durst. Towards the end of your tenure with Lush Fertilizer, you and Jerry Langley did not get along.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, you ended up going to Blake Downcourt to express your concern.
Yes.
However, after speaking with Blake Downcourt, he pretty much blew you off. He told you to grow up and told you to figure this out on your own.
Yes.
Obviously, that was not the answer you were looking for when you left his office.
You could say that, yes.
Objection, speculation.
Mr. Vega?
I can go ahead and rephrase that question, Your Honor.
Go ahead then.
Isn't it true that you left Blake Downcourt's disheartened?
Yes.
Excuse me, Blake Downcourt's office disheartened.
Yes.
Immediately after, you began looking for a new job?
Yes.
And it was at that time that Terrace Greenery was hiring.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, of course. And it was at the same time that you began looking for a new job that Terrace Greenery was hiring?
Yes.
And you were so set on revenge that you went to go work with his competitor?
No.
How so?
I did not go to Terrace Greenery for revenge.
Isn't it true that Terrace Greenery is indeed isn't it true that Terrace Greenery is Lush Fertilizer's main competitor?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it true that your company would benefit if Dakota wins this case?
That is outside the scope of my statement. I can elaborate if you want, though.
No, that's all right. As a matter of fact, that was my final question, Your Honor. No further questions.
Very good. Ms. Farrar, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Were you good at your job at Lush Fertilizer?
Yes.
And was it your job to make sure upper management reviewed your journal?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. May my witness step down? Oh, wait, no, never mind.
Oh, I guess I think I'm supposed to ask Mr. Vega whether there's any recross. Did I get that right?
No, there will be no recross, Your Honor.
Very good. The witness may step down.
Thank you.
And the plaintiff may call their next witness when they're ready.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call Dakota Weirs to the stand, please.
You may.
Thank you. Can everyone see my camera, Your Honor? I'm having technical difficulties.
You're very visible.
Okay, thank
We have a
you.
problem with the sound, or at least on my end, I'm getting a big echo.
Okay, what about now?
I think it's good now. I think we're good.
Okay. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
I'm Dakota Weirs, and that's spelled Weirs.
Miss Weirs, how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
And why are you here today?
I'm suing Lush Fertilizer.
Why are you suing this company?
This company's products made me sick.
Okay, could you elaborate on that a little more?
Well, I've been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and I used some of Lush Fertilizer's products that have deemed to be unsafe.
And what did you do before you got this illness?
I've always been active in my community. I would help at homeless shelters, and I would help around the community, but my biggest thing was playing the piano. I even got a scholarship to Juilliard.
Okay. And how long have you been playing the piano?
I've been playing the piano ever since I was able to walk. I used to waddle over to the piano and play it. When I got older, I got better and better.
Okay. Can you still play the piano?
No, due to my illness, I can no longer play the piano, and it's the most devastating part.
And what caused this illness?
I believe it was non-Hodgkin lymphoma. I believe it was Lush Fertilizer.
Okay. Where did you use this product, Lush Fertilizer?
I used it at my job at Haven Landscaping.
And how long have you been working at Haven Landscaping?
I've been working there since I was 14, so about 6 years.
Okay. And was there a warning label on this product that you used?
No, there were no warning labels. There were some ingredients, but no warnings.
Okay. Are you positive that it was Lush Fertilizer that caused this?
Yes, if it was something else that would have made it happen in my life, my twin Skylar would have it too.
Speaking of Skylar, are they here in court today?
Yes, she is.
And is she going against you or for you?
She's taking the stand against me, which is really crazy.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Yes.
And I'm not sure if you're waiting for me to say you may proceed. Haven't gotten up to speed as to whether you rely on that here, but you may proceed.
You are 20 years old
Yes, that's correct.
and you have been working in agritech as a landscaping technician since you were 14.
I've worked at Haven Landscaping, yes.
And during this time, your job was spreading seed and fertilizer,
Yes, that's correct.
where you had to work with many chemicals.
That's correct, yes.
And when working with these chemicals, you were told by your boss to always cover your face, wear long sleeves, pants, and gloves, correct?
I was told that, but none of my peers did that. And neither did I.
And even as shown on Exhibit 1, the label has a user safety recommendation that even states to utilize protective clothing that covers exposed skin and to use a face covering.
Yes, Exhibit 1 does say that.
And even after being told by your boss and recommended by the label, you failed to take those precautions?
That's correct, but neither did any of my peers.
but you failed to take those precautions.
Yes, that is correct.
And you are suing Lush Fertilizer based on damages for physical, mental pain and suffering, emotional trauma and distress, and impairment of the quality of life.
Yes, that is correct.
So it is safe to say that during or after your diagnosis, you were very depressed.
Yes.
And in this depression, while you were watching TV, you saw a news story about Drufel.
Yes, that's correct.
And then after doing research into this, you decided to take action against Lush Fertilizer
Yes, that is correct.
on an accusation that their product Drufel made you sick.
Yes.
Yet fertilizers have many other chemicals in them besides Drufel.
Yes, that is correct.
And most of these other chemicals have clearer links to causing cancer than Drufel does.
Yes, some of them do.
So you have no real proof that it was Drufel specifically that caused your non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
I don't, but since I've been working at Haven Landscaping for all of these years, I do believe that it was Lush Fertilizer and the Drufel that caused my cancer.
But Lush Fertilizer contains more than just Drufel.
Yes, that is correct.
Objection. Out of the scope of affidavit.
Ms. Scheibe?
No response.
Your Honor, I would like to ask that question to be removed.
Yes, the objection is sustained.
Thank you.
Oh, that is all I had. Thank you.
Ms. Smith, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, but can I have a moment to confirm with co-counsel?
You may.
Thank you. Okay, can there be other chemicals that cause cancer?
Yes, there could be.
So Drufel is not the only chemical that can cause cancer.
It's not the only chemical that can cause cancer, no.
But you are here today because of Drufel.
Yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. And then Ms. Scheibe, any requests?
No, Your Honor.
Sorry, did you say no?
Yeah, no.
Okay, very good. May the witness step down?
Yes, please.
Okay, witness may step down, and I gather that completes the plaintiff's case. We're going to take about a 4-minute break. I'll turn off my video. When I come on back, I'll just turn back on the video. So we're in recess for about 4 minutes. Thank you. All right, I'm back on the bench. And when the defense is ready to proceed, you may call your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, I'll call Blake Downcourt to the stand.
Very good.
Hello, my name is, oh, my bad.
Good evening, Mr. Downcourt. Could you please state your last name for the record?
Yes, my name is Blake Donacourt.
Mr. Downcourt, what do you do for a living?
I am the CEO of Lush Fertilizer.
How long have you been the CEO of Lush Fertilizer?
Since 2000.
And how has your company grown since 2000?
My company has grown into a very large, successful company.
And what kind of products does your company sell?
We make fertilizer.
Okay. And throughout these years, how has your company come about its success?
I worked day and night to make Lush a very profitable company through our flagship product, Lush Fertilizer.
And what have you been able to accomplish with all the hard work that you put into this company?
We have been able to put 10% of our annual profits into charities.
And what do those charities do?
They wish to bring down the world's global nitrogen footprint.
Okay. And has your company gone to the national or state level to help the cause?
Yes, we have been instrumental in creating state and national legislation.
Wait, hold on.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Mr. Vega?
I'm laying foundation, or not laying foundation, but I'm trying to show.
Yeah, Mr. Vega, I'm having a little bit of trouble with your sound quality.
So
Trey,
I'm actually right next to my witness. Do you mind if I just move across the room?
say that again?
Do you mind if I just move across the room and see if that helps?
Yeah, see, do whatever you think might help.
Okay, give me just one moment. Alrighty, Your Honor, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I think so. Would you mind repeating the question, and then I'll have a repeat of the objection, since I had trouble hearing it before.
Yes, of course. The question was, I don't even remember what the question was. I think it was, has your company gone to the national or state level to help this cause?
And Ms. Ferrer, is there an objection to that?
Yes, I objected to relevance.
All right, Mr. Vega?
Right now, I'm attempting to build a foundation for my witness to establish his credibility for what he's going to say.
All right, I'll allow the question.
Mr. Donacourt, I'll go ahead and ask the question one more time. Has your company gone to the national or state level to help this cause?
Yes, we have been instrumental in creating state and national legislation.
Okay. Has your company received any awards for its accomplishments?
Yes, I have received the Champion of Earth Award, and my company has received the SEAL Business Award.
All right, Mr. Dunn, go ahead and move on here for a minute. Let's just state the obvious. What is the reason for you being in court today?
I am being falsely accused of ignoring a carcinogen within my product.
Okay. Do you know Dakota Weirs?
Yes, I do.
How do you know him? Or her, excuse me, it's her. How do you know her?
She has brought a lawsuit against me.
Okay. And what is the lawsuit?
She's claiming that my product has a carcinogenic ingredient in it, and I have intentionally ignored it and and have caused cancer to people.
Okay. And on this product, was there a warning label?
Yes, there was a warning label to wear personal protective equipment and a respirator.
Okay. And is Exhibit 1 said warning label?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. Is Exhibit 1, which has already been admitted into evidence, is this the warning label?
Status.
Okay. Let's go ahead and switch gears again. Did the company ever conduct any studies on your fertilizer?
Yes.
And based on those studies, was there any risk to the people that use your fertilizer?
I had not seen any studies that had provided any reasonable risk to people using my fertilizer.
Okay. And were you legally required to place a cancer warning label?
I was not, no.
And if you did find any evidence that suggested the product you were selling did cause cancer, how would your behavior change?
If I had seen credible evidence that my product causes cancer, I would have immediately put a label on it.
Let's go ahead and talk about one of your past coworkers, Mr. John Court. Do you know Carson Durst?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
She was an ex-employee of mine.
Is she still working with you?
She is not, no.
Who is she working with now?
She is working with
Your Honor?
Yes.
Time discrepancy.
Sorry?
There's a time discrepancy.
Go ahead. You're the experts on how you handle that. I'm not. So go ahead.
Could you repeat that?
You can show me how you resolve that. I'm not familiar with how you resolve time discrepancies.
I believe the timekeepers compare their times.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Your Honor, do you mind if I speak for just a moment?
Go ahead.
This discrepancy we are currently in is not going against my time for direct, is it?
No.
No.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Your Honor, I believe it was due to technical difficulties.
All right, has it been resolved?
It's going to with the other timekeeper as of right now.
All right, can the questioning resume?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Vega, you may resume.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I'll go and repeat my previous question if that's all right. Mr. Taylor, who is Carson Durst working with now?
Carson Durst is working with Terra's Greenery.
And okay. And while Carson was employed at Lush Fertilizer, what was her job? What was her job?
Her job was to look for any dangers so that we could follow up on them.
And did she ever bring anything that should raise concern?
No, I had never seen any reasonable evidence that raised any concern.
All right. Mr. Dunford, let's go and talk about baking the product. What would baking the product do?
Baking the product would have removed any carcinogenic defect, but I simply thought it was overkill. I didn't think it was necessary.
And was it reasonable to bake the product?
I did not believe so, no.
Okay. And my final question for you, Mr. Dunford, would you ever remove the cause of environmental or health harm in any way?
No, I would not.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination.
You mentioned Carson Durst in your testimony, but isn't it true that you also call Carson Durst a regrettable disappointment within your affidavit?
Yes.
All right, moving on. Were there any risks to using your fertilizer?
I was not made aware of any risks to using my fertilizer. No.
You say that you haven't seen any valid scientific evidence that Drufo is carcinogenic,
Yes.
but you were in court today when you heard of a study against Drufo, correct?
Yes. I was referring to in months prior before the case.
Moving on, you know that baking your fertilizer will remove any risk of it being carcinogenic,
Yes.
but you don't bake your products, do you?
I do not know.
And you don't bake it because it's costly?
That is one of the reasons, yes.
And you benefit financially from not baking your fertilizer?
That is correct, yes.
In fact, you even state that making your fertilizer 100% safe from being carcinogenic is simply overkill?
Yes, I had not seen enough evidence to support that would have been necessary.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Farrar. Any redirect, Mr. Vega?
Yes, Your Honor. Sorry, give me just. Okay, Mr. John Court, isn't it true that by not baking, or excuse me, that's a leading question.
Mr. Vega, I'm still having difficulty hearing you. We're getting like reverb from your microphone.
Okay. Give me just one moment. Are you able to hear me now, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Doncourt, where do your profits go?
My profits go to 10% of my profits go to environmental causes.
Okay, and by not baking the product, you saved money?
Yes, I did.
Okay. No further, Your Honor.
Ms. Farrar, any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Very good. The witness may step down. And the defense may call their next witness.
Defense calls Skylar Weirs.
And you may proceed.
What is your name?
My name is Skylar Weirs.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
What is your occupation?
I am an investigative journalist. I write articles challenging pseudoscience, and I'm a part-time server.
How do you know Dakota Weirs?
I am Dakota Weir's twin.
Why are you here today?
To testify on behalf of Lush Fertilizer. Lush is committed to protecting the environment, and they're being unfairly targeted. Any product that contains synthetic nitrogen could have caused Dakota's cancer.
Do you get anything out of this if Dakota loses this lawsuit?
No, my dad will have to pay for all of Dakota's medical expenses if he loses, which will impact my whole family, including me.
And as you mentioned, you are an investigative journalist. Who do you work for?
I work for Rational West magazine.
How does this magazine you work for choose topics to write on?
One second. The magazine encourages readers to ask questions and intelligently scrutinize the jargon and rhetoric prompting or promoting scientific skepticism. They want to stop the spread of pseudoscientific superstition or pseudoscience, superstition, and irrational beliefs.
Why did you write the articles on modern agritech?
My editor asked me to write a series of articles on modern agritech. Investigating Drupal was part of that series. I even wrote an article questioning the narrative that there is a causal link between Drupal and cancer.
And was your article about the lack of connection between Drufo and cancer published before or after Dakota was diagnosed with cancer?
That article was published before Dakota was diagnosed with cancer.
And how much time did you spend researching modern agritech in order to write your articles?
I spent almost a year reading and researching.
And during this time, what studies or publications did you reference for these articles?
Started reading publications issued by various agritech companies, then referenced the research in those publications. I also tracked down a wealth of information maintained by the USDA and the NASDA.
Why do you think you are qualified to testify as an expert?
In order to write my articles on modern agritech, I had to learn and research sufficiently. The articles would be accepted. I know I don't have a college degree, but my knowledge base involves general knowledge plus historical and statistical information, and you don't need a degree for that.
At this time, I would like to ask the judge to qualify Mrs. Weirs as an expert witness in the area of agritech.
Any objection?
Your Honor, if I may, a brief word, dear.
All right, is that allowed under the rules? Okay, you may.
You have only spent almost a year reading and researching modern agritech?
That is correct.
So not even a full year?
Not quite.
Could you repeat that?
Not quite.
Okay. And you do not have a college degree, correct?
That is correct.
Your base largely involves general knowledge?
That is correct.
And you only wrote one series of articles which targeted modern agritech?
Correct.
And only one of those articles specifically questioned a causal link between Drufo and cancer?
That is correct.
Your Honor, we would object. The witness has not demonstrated the requisite or specialized knowledge, experience, or education to be qualified as an expert in the area of agritech, according to Rule 702.
All right, Ms. Scheibe.
Hasn't she already been declared by the court?
No.
Stated that she was an expert.
In the pretrial ruling, stated that she was an expert and qualified.
Hang on, I lost your voice for part of that. You need a moment to find the pretrial ruling?
Yes, Your Honor.
She just has this like, don't take too much.
So an expert witness is not required to hold a specific degree, training, certificate, accreditation, or membership in a professional organization, but she has knowledge in the field of agritech based on her research within the articles.
Your Honor, may I respond?
You may.
I did believe that, I apologize. I did state it was because of a lack of education, but also because it was a lack of experience and knowledge. I know she has knowledge, but I don't believe it is an adequate amount of knowledge to be an expert witness. It's not even a full year.
All right. Ms. Scheibe, anything more on that before I rule on that?
It states that she does not need to have. Hold on one moment. The objection is irrelevant because it already has been declared by the court that she will be qualified as an expert witness.
All right, I will rule on it. I would say that the argument in support of her qualification was a little thin, but based on the pretrial ruling says that if Skylar Weir's the defendant asserts that Skylar Weir spent considerable time researching agritech companies by reviewing publications written by those companies, research studies referenced in those publications, and information maintained by the USDA and NASDA. And if such facts are confirmed at trial, they are sufficient to establish her as an expert in this field. And I find that Ms. Weirs did testify that she did do that work. And so those facts per the pretrial ruling are sufficient to establish her qualifications. And she is accepted as an expert in modern agri-tech. So you may continue your questioning, Ms. Scheibe.
Okay. So based on your research, what is the link to Drufel and causing cancer?
There are no known causal links. There is, however, evidence that synthetic nitrogen, which is in many fertilizers, causes cancer and is used by lush fertilizer to reduce, and Drufel is used by lush fertilizer to reduce the amount of nitrogen that has to be used.
And based on your extensive research as an expert, what other factors could be contributed to causing Mrs. Weirs' cancer?
There is solid evidence of a link between various cancers and a number of pesticides, but Drufel doesn't use any of them.
And within your expert opinion, would you say that there is no proof that it was Drufel?
The known research is inconclusive as far as whether Drufel is responsible for cancer. I have not come across any studies or published articles that define a specific link. So yes, I would say there is no proof it was Drufel.
Thank you for your time. That is all I have.
Ms. Lawrence, cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Hello, Ms. Weirs. You are Dakota's twin, correct?
Correct.
But you and Dakota don't have a close twin relationship?
Not the stereotypical twin relationship, no.
And it has been suggested that you are testifying on behalf of Lush Fertilizer because you want to undermine Dakota?
It has been suggested, yes.
You're aware that Dakota's medical treatment will not be cheap, correct?
Correct.
But your dad has already agreed to shoulder the cost of Dakota's treatment if the lawsuit is not successful for Dakota?
Correct.
Your parents were helping you on the side before your mom died?
Correct.
And because of the decision to not go to college, your dad cut you off?
That is correct.
And you're a bit of a gambler?
That is correct.
And a few years ago, March Madness put you into a hole that you have not been able to climb out of?
Yes.
And you work a part-time job at Applebee's just to make ends meet?
That is correct.
So it has been suggested that you are testifying on behalf of Lush Fertilizer because you are motivated for the money?
That is correct.
Moving to the topic of your career, you are an investigative journalist, correct?
Yes.
And you do not have a college degree, correct?
I do not.
And your base mostly involves general knowledge.
Yes,
And you only spent about a year reading and researching Drufo.
that is correct.
And you said that outside of the USDA and NASDA, you doubt that anyone has the overall perspective on modern agritech than you do.
That is correct.
Now, Lush fertilizer has been the target of the pseudoscientific mass hysteria and conspiracy theories surrounding agritech.
Correct.
And this sector is so worried about the company that they will go to lengths of spending billions to destroy the reputation of Lush fertilizer.
That is correct.
But you claimed that Lush was safe.
Yes.
And this was based on your own research?
Yes,
And you have not even spent a full year on this research?
that is correct.
And you also said that Lush fertilizer is just as safe, if not more, than its competitors' products?
That is correct.
But you also stated that all pesticides and herbicides are poison?
By definition.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Scheibe, any redirect?
Your Honor. What is your motivation for testifying today?
I'm here to stand by my research and my knowledge because I do not think that Lush fertilizer is responsible for Dakota's cancer.
And if Dakota wins this lawsuit, will it cost you anything?
No,
And do you get anything if Dakota loses this lawsuit?
no, my dad will have to pay for all of Dakota's medical expenses if he loses, which will impact my whole family, including me.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Lawrence, any recross?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the witness may step down and defense may call their final witness.
Your Honor, at this time, I call Dr. Devin Williams to the stand.
Very good, you may proceed.
Hi, can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the court?
My name is Dr. Devin Williams, and that is spelled Williams.
Okay. Can you tell us where you're employed?
I am currently employed in Lush Fertilizer as the leader of the toxicology and research labs, and I am an outgoing chair of the company's ethics committee.
Can you tell us more about what your job entails?
I evaluate test results to determine the fate effects of potentially toxic chemical agents. Biomolecular and chemical markers help me determine their safety.
What qualifications do you have to perform this job and execute those tests?
I received all of my college education up to a PhD from Colorado State University. My PhD is in the field of pharmacotoxicology, which is the study of harmful chemicals and medications. I also did a post-PhD program in pharmacotoxicology at the University of Utah.
And how long have you been working for Lush Fertilizer?
I have been there for 10 years and I have led the toxicology labs for 7 years now.
What did you do prior to working for Lush?
One moment, please.
I can come back to that, actually. I'll come back to that. So,
okay.
Let's see. Your Honor, may I show the witness Exhibit 9?
You may.
Okay, just one moment. Can you see that?
Yes.
This is Exhibit 9. Do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is my curriculum vitae, which shows my certifications, publications, and previous work experience.
Okay. Your Honor, I move to admit and publish Exhibit 9.
Any objection?
No objections at this time, Your Honor.
The the exhibit is submitted and you may publish.
On here, it talks about your other professional experience. Can you tell us about that?
I can confirm that this is indeed my other professional experience, and it is up to date.
And what did you do?
I was a professor in Colorado State University from 2003 to the present. I was an assistant professor of toxicology and pathophysiology in the University of Colorado, Denver CU and Shoots Medical Campus Graduate School from 2004 to 2011.
And as well as that, it shows your certifications. Can you tell us about those?
I received my clinical toxicology and forensic toxicology qualifications from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. I also have a certification in bioanalytical laboratory director. I am a bioanalytical laboratory director from the state of New Mexico Board of Medical Examiners. I'm also in toxicology from the state of Wyoming, Agency of Healthcare Administration. I am also a forensic toxicology and a toxicology drugs of abuse therapeutic drug level in the Utah Department of Health and Mental Hygiene,
Okay,
Office of Healthcare Quality.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, I would like to qualify Dr. Devin Williams as an expert in toxicology and pharmacotoxicology.
Any objection?
Your Honor, can I share, if I may, can I have a small void here?
You may.
Your Honor, we have no objections to this witness being qualified in this area of expertise, as long as they limit their opinion to their area of expertise.
What was the area of expertise was toxicology?
Pharmacotoxicology and toxicology.
Okay, Ms. Smith, you have no objection to qualification of the expert within those limits.
Might I include medicinal chemistry as well?
I'm sorry, I missed. Who said that?
Me, Your Honor.
Ms. Hardesty. Okay, medicinal chemistry. Okay, Ms. Smith.
No, Your Honor, it's not mentioned.
All right, you object on the grounds that that's not that there's no qualification for that in evidence. Go ahead, Ms. Hardesty. Your response.
He was a professor at University of Colorado, Denver CU, and that included medicinal chemistry. That's
all right. I will overrule the objection and approve Dr. Williams as an expert in pharmacotoxicology, toxicology, and medicinal chemistry.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. So you work at Lush Fertilizer, so I'm sure you're familiar with Drufo. What can you tell us about this chemical?
It is a revolutionary bonding agent used in all of Lush fertilizers.
Why do you say it's revolutionary?
Well, it adds nutrients to the soil as well as modifies soil's water retention and aeration. Other fertilizers don't usually do both of those things.
Okay. So can you tell us about maybe Lush Fertilizer's goals?
The goals of Lush Fertilizer is they wanted their products to be industry leading, environmentally aware, and cost effective.
So would you say that protection of the environment is important to Lush Fertilizer?
That is correct.
And how are they accomplishing that goal?
By keeping their products, like I mentioned before, industry leading, environmentally aware, and cost effective.
And you're a scientist. Would you say that the environment impacts humans?
I would say so, yes.
And so therefore, would you agree that protecting the environment also protects humans?
That is correct.
Okay, let's move on now. Are you aware of the study that Casey Rogers has conducted?
I am very much aware.
And as a specialist in pharmacotoxicology and your other areas of expertise, would you say that this research is reliable?
I would say no.
Why is that?
I would say that the method of research is not scientifically sound because of the three control groups he used, which are the farmers, casual gardeners, and people who do not do any sort of gardening.
Can you tell us about why?
Sorry, was that?
I had
who's-
an objection.
Okay, go ahead.
The question is hearsay because they did not lay any foundation for Casey Rogers. They just randomly put Casey Rogers into a question.
All right, Ms. Hardesty.
In your witness statement, you talk about how you've seen Casey Rogers.
Oh, here you should be talking to me to
Sorry,
respond to the objection.
I guess can I rephrase my questions?
Go ahead.
Okay. In your witness statement, you talk about Dr. Casey Rogers' research and your thoughts on it, correct?
That is correct.
And you're aware of his study and what it consists of?
That is correct.
Or just one moment, please.
Sure.
Okay, let me just move on to something else. As a scientist, are there certain rules and protocols that you follow when conducting research?
Yes, there are always guidelines put in place to promote high ethical standards.
And usually when using a research study as evidence, would you have it replicated or at least reviewed by peers?
Yes, that is generally what a scientist would do to have it published and considered valid.
Okay, and have you seen any studies have you had any studies presented to you that prove that Drufo causes a probability of cancer?
No.
Okay. Let's move on. I want to address the fact that Drufo was banned in the EU. Are you aware of this?
I am very much aware.
Why is it banned there?
It is due to the European Union's nitrate directive. Apparently, our products, even though it greatly reduces the amount of nitrates that accumulate under real-world conditions, there is still nitrogen in it.
And so is Lush doing anything to change its ban in the EU?
Yes, my department is finishing a study that we expect will prove that Drufo-based products lead to reduced eutrophication in real-world applications.
So in your expert opinion, should Drufo be illegal in the EU?
Yes.
And Lush fertilizer, do they plan on getting it legalized in the EU?
Yes, we do have plans.
Okay. Within the bounds of your knowledge, do you agree that Drufo is safe to use as long as its users follow the directions on the warning label?
Yes.
Okay, and one more time for the court, can you express your opinion of this case?
There is no denying that non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is a terrible disease, and I feel terrible that Dakota Wears has suffered due to its effects. However, Lush fertilizer is not at all at fault for his disease. Just like Casey Rogers, I have conducted my own research on the chemical. I trust scientific studies to determine its safety, and every peer-reviewed project points to the fact that Drufo does not increase the incidence that non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or any cancer will occur in the use of this product.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Okay, Ms. Smith, cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Can I proceed at this time?
You may.
Dr. Devin Williams, do you know what medicinal chemistry is?
Yes.
What is it?
It is the study of chemical makeup of medicine.
Okay. You are here as an expert witness today.
That is correct.
As an expert witness, you are being paid for your objective expertise on the toxic nature of Drufo.
I would agree, yes.
And you are also a paid employee of Lush Fertilizer.
That is correct.
As of October 2021, you have been working at Lush Fertilizer for approximately 11 years.
I would say yes.
So you would have been hired in 2010?
That is correct.
So to be clear, you began working at Lush Fertilizer since 2010.
That is correct.
You lead toxicology research and development labs at Lush Fertilizer?
That is correct.
And you have led the toxicology labs at Lush Fertilizer for 7 years?
That is correct.
So if anyone would know about the toxic nature of Drufo, it would be you.
Yes.
Drufo is a product that you work directly with.
Yes.
Drufo is a product that your company sells in the US.
Yes.
And Drufo is a product that makes your company a lot of money.
I would agree.
Drufo is not just an ingredient, but the ingredient that gives your company an advantage.
Yes.
I'd like to talk to you now about the expert witness for the plaintiff in today's trial, Dr. Casey Rogers. Dr. Casey Rogers is educated from the same university you went to, Colorado State University.
That is correct.
And Dr. Rogers testified today that she also got a PhD from the University of California at Berkeley.
That is correct.
And Dr. Rogers testified today that she is currently a professor at the University of California, Berkeley.
That is correct.
So you both have similar credentials, but Professor Rogers works at a university
Yes.
and you work for Lush Fertilizer.
That is correct.
Professor Rogers testified today that her studies are done for the university.
That is correct.
And your studies are for Lush Fertilizer?
I would agree so, yes.
Professor Rogers did a study linking Drufo to cancer.
Yes, I am aware of the study.
You disagree with Dr. Casey's findings?
Yes.
You disagree with Dr. Casey Rogers' study that links Drufo to non-Hodgkin lymphoma?
Yes, I disagree with that study.
To your knowledge, there are no studies that link Drufo to cancer?
As far as I'm concerned, I am not aware of any.
So again, to be clear, there's no possible study out there that you are unaware of.
Yes.
Did CEO Blake Doncourt need you to keep Drufo product sales leading the industry
That is correct.
and cost effective?
Yes.
As lead toxicology of your company, you regularly read company reports
I would agree.
and were employed by Drufo when Blake Doncourt's report about baking Drufo was created?
I would agree.
Your Honor, permission to show the witness what has been marked as Exhibit 8.
You may.
Okay, we are pulling it up on a screen now. Can you all see?
I can see.
This is a report from your company,
That is correct.
a report that was made while you were at the company.
I would agree, yes.
As an expert witness, you would be familiar with this.
Yes, I would.
Permission to move Exhibit 8 into evidence.
Ms. Let's see, that would be, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Exhibit 8 is admitted.
Permission to publish to the jury.
You may publish.
I'd like to direct your attention to a document on the stand, Exhibit 8, the cost savings chart for not baking Drufo. This is a company report from the years 2004 to 2014, correct?
Repeat the question, please.
This is a company report from the years 2004 to 2014.
That is correct.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. A report that was generated 3 years after you were hired at Lush.
That is correct.
Looking at the results of this report, it is more expensive to bake the product Drufo.
From what I can see, yes.
So to be clear, it's cheaper to manufacture Drufo without baking it.
Yes.
But you do not mention this important report in your affidavit.
Excuse me?
But you do not mention this important report in your affidavit.
No,
Earlier today, you heard Carson Durst testify.
that is correct.
You heard Carson Durst acknowledge that baking is a process that would make your product safer,
Yes,
but baking Druvo would cut your profits by 6% the first year.
that is correct.
You do not mention this important information about Druvo in your affidavit.
That is correct.
This chart was made by your company CEO.
I agree, yes,
But you do not mention this in your affidavit.
that is correct.
This report, Carson Durst testified in today in court, would remove the cancer-causing potential of Druvo.
Yes,
I now want to talk to you more about the safety of Druvo. Druvo is banned in the EU, correct?
that is correct.
Druvo is banned in Europe because it contains nitrogen.
That is correct.
So you successfully sell Lush fertilizer without Druvo in Europe.
Yes,
But you make more money in the US selling Lush fertilizer with Druvo.
that is correct.
I now want to direct your attention to an employee turnover at Lush Fertilizer. There was a high turnover in employees before you were hired at Lush Fertilizer. Correct?
That is correct.
In fact, there was a 50% turnover in employees before you were hired.
That is correct.
Carson Durst was one of those employees who was part of that turnover, correct?
I agree, yes.
To clarify from earlier, you were not an employee of Lush Fertilizer in 2003,
No, I am not.
but you were here in court today when Carson Durst testified.
That is correct.
Carson Durst referred to an in-house study Lush Fertilizer did about Druvo back in 2003.
Yes, he did.
Carson Durst in court today talked about that study done by Lush Fertilizer in 2003.
Yes, he did.
Carson Durst testified today about the conclusion from Lush Fertilizer's own scientists that revealed a link between the carcinogenic nature of Lush Fertilizer and non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
Your Honor, I'm going to go ahead and object to hearsay there.
I'm sorry, who's that speaking up?
This is Attorney Esteban Vega.
Your Honor, that's not his attorney.
So I'm not as familiar perhaps with the rules in this court as you are, but the rule I am familiar with in my courtroom would be that there's one attorney on each side questioning this witness and also handling the objections. So if unless the rules are different in this court, then any objections to Ms. Smith's questioning would come from Ms. Hardesty.
Can I proceed to move on?
You may proceed.
Carson Durst testified today about the conclusion from Lush Fertilizer's own scientists that revealed a link between the carcinogenic nature of Lush Fertilizer and non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
Yes, I would agree.
Carson Durst testified today that the report revealing that link was not published by Lush Fertilizer.
Yes, I agree.
In fact, Carson Durst testified today that Lush Fertilizer chose to, quote, keep it in the walls until we figure out what we are doing, end quote.
I agree.
I'd like to direct your attention to Exhibit 4.
You may.
Permission to move Exhibit 4 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection to the exhibit being admitted, Your Honor, but I object to hearsay for her previous questions due to lack of foundation.
Your Honor, that was previously.
I think we've moved on. That's untimely. So
Okay.
The exhibit is admitted.
Okay, permission to publish to the jury.
You may publish.
This email identifies Carson Durst and the CEO, Blake Donacourt, in the list of these addressed, right?
I would agree, yes.
This Lush Fertilizer internal email entitled Lush In-House Study.
Yes,
This Lush Fertilizer internal email is labeled high importance.
Yes,
This Lush fertilizer internal email is labeled confidential.
that is correct.
This Lush fertilizer internal email acknowledges a link between Drufo and cancer. Correct?
That is correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Hardesty, any redirect?
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, the witness then may step down. All right, is plaintiff ready with their closing statement?
Give me just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
This case is as easy as A, B, and C. Accountability, believability, and culpability. Dakota Wears is suing Lush Fertilizer for $200,000 because Drufo, a chemical component within Lush Fertilizer's fertilizer product, caused Dakota's non-Hodgkin lymphoma. You heard from Casey Rogers, a believable witness, an expert in the field of chemistry and agricultural herbicides, who published many articles on harmful effects of chemicals, who said that Drufo was rushed to the market. She conducted her own study, which found an increase in incidences of cancer, including non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which afflicts the plaintiff in this case. You heard from Carson Durst, who showed the culpability of Lush Fertilizer. Carson used to work at Lush and had a close family relationship with the Doncourt family, and was promoted after study in Europe came back that the chemical component was carcinogenic in rats. And Carson said that the chemical compound may be carcinogenic in humans. You heard from the plaintiff, Dakota, who proved that Lush is accountable for her illness. Dakota is 20 years old and has been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma because of Drufo. And due to this illness, Dakota can no longer play the piano, her one true passion. She was so good that she even got into Juilliard, but she can no longer pursue this because of her illness caused by Lush. There were no warnings on the product, and her own twin is going against her. It's as easy as ABC: accountability, believability, and culpability. You heard from Skylar, who is a gambler who has no expertise, no college degree, and said she doubts anyone outside of the USDA and NASDA have the overall perspective on modern agritech than herself, and has another job to make ends meet. You heard from Dr. Williams, who is financially biased, who is biased against Dr. Casey Rogers, who has a conflict of interest, who seems to be unaware of reports about carcinogenic reports. Dr. Devin Williams was needed by the head of the company to keep their products industry leading and cost effective to benefit Lush. You heard from Blake Doncourt, the CEO of the company, who called Carson, their own worker, a regrettable disappointment, who admitted that baking Drufo would prevent carcinogenic components, but did not do so because it was costly. So they put profits far before the safety of their customers. And as plaintiff, we were met with the burden of proof, which we have met today. And we ask that you find this case in favor of Dakota Wears. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lawrence. And the defense closing.
Thank you, Your Honor. There is no proof that it was Drufo. Dakota has worked with a countless number of chemicals and fertilizers. In fact, almost every fertilizer has nitrogen, which can be carcinogenic. So why is she blaming Drufo for her diagnosis when she has no proof? Not even her personal doctor could provide her with the cause of her diagnosis. So once again, why Drufo? There is no proof that it was Drufo. You have heard Carson Durst's direct and cross-examinations. And as you know, Carson was employed at Lush Fertilizer in 2003. She was asked with researching a chemical that comprised Drufo. She found an English study that found said chemical to be carcinogenic in rats. However, she failed to do so. She failed to find a study that found it carcinogenic in humans. Rats do not use Drufo. Humans do. There is no proof that it was Drufo. And after getting into a disagreement with Blake Doncourt about her poor performance reviews, what did she do? She went to go work with the competition to get back at Blake, the man who overlooked numerous qualified individuals to hire Carson. It is clear that Mr. Durst's motive in this trial is to get revenge on Blake, the man that did nothing but help Carson. Do not let Carson waste your time. The plaintiff's expert witness, Dr. Casey Rogers, conducted a study that just simply isn't valid. The study was never replicated, meaning that if it was, the new study could have found different results than the original study. And it was never peer-reviewed either. No one can be entirely sure that Dr. Casey Rogers just didn't input the information that was needed to fall in favor of the plaintiff. This study is not valid and simply is not credible science. Let's switch gears one more time and talk about baking the product. My client chose not to bake the product, not out of greed, but because it was not reasonable and he was not legally required to. The study showed that there's no need to put a warning label on the fertilizer for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma when there is no risk of it. If you did not have to spend $2.6 million, would you? No, you would not. Instead, 10% of that profit is going towards charities who help cure this world of the bad habits of humans. The plaintiff failed to prove by hundreds of the evidence that it was indeed the cause of the plaintiff's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The plaintiff had to prove to you all four elements of the claim of negligence. There is no dispute as to the first one. My client did indeed produce a chemical compound known as Drufo, but the plaintiff failed to prove that this compound is the cause of the plaintiff's illness. The plaintiff as a whole to prove more likely than not the evidence presented would weigh in favor of the plaintiff, but instead shows that the evidence presented weighs in favor of the defense. Lush Fertilizer reasonably expected that the product would be used in compliance with the safety warning label on the packaging. Not only did Dakota not follow the instructions on said packaging, it appears he did not take precautions with any of the products he used. Thus, the product was not being used in the manner that the defendant reasonably expected. And if you agree with this statement, you cannot find the defendant lied. He said himself, he did not wear protective clothing despite being told numerous times to do so by his supervisor. This is an undisputed fact. The label on the fertilizer used by the plaintiff clearly states to wear protective clothing. Instead, he refused to do so, stating that the wind felt so good on his face. Those are the words of a negligent woman. The plaintiff's own expert witness testified that Dakota should have been wearing protective clothing. Dakota has worked with in landscaping since she was 14 years old. She is now 20 years old. And within those 6 years, she had been working with Lush Fertilizer for many years. If you was the cause of the plaintiff's damages, we ask that you determine that Dakota's own negligence in using the product caused his illness. We ask that you find liable for contributory negligence, and we are confident that throughout this trial you have heard ample evidence to show, more than not, Dakota's carelessness was the cause of her diagnosis. She failed to do something that a reasonably careful person would do to protect themselves. That is comply with the recommended safety precautions, and is what that conduct that caused her injuries, damages, and losses. Lush Fertilizer asks that you find it find it liable. If, however, you do not find Lush Fertilizer liable, we ask that you hold Dakota Weirs responsible for his own negligence and award no damages. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. And I can't recall whether under the rules the plaintiff has an opportunity for a rebuttal.
Yes, Your Honor, there is.
You may proceed.
May I have a time check on how much time I have for the rebuttal?
Of course.
2 minutes and 55 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel, there may not be any solid proof about carcinogens in Drufo, but does that mean that every report suggesting a causal link between Drufo and non-Hodgkin lymphoma should be ignored? Does that mean all of them should be pushed to the side for reasons of profit? Even Dr. Williams acknowledged that there are carcinogens within Drufo. And the label on the package includes a recommendation, but there is no stated warning on that package that Dakota could have followed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, council. I believe we're now done, and I'm going to confer for a moment with the scoring panel. I have a question. I think for the scoring panel, Ms. Pearson and Judge Katzman, it's looking on mine like there may be a couple of boxes missing at the bottom of the scoring panel. Either that or I'm just having trouble with my form on my screen. But do you also have a problem with all the boxes being there for the defense third witness?
This is Pearson. I have all of the boxes, yes.
You do have them. So you have, for the third witness, you have the direct, cross, and witness?
Yes.
I don't on mine. Okay. Judge Katzman, do you have those on yours?
I do. I'm having a problem submitting it. I just got an error message that there was a error processing the entry.
Judge Katzman, Judge McGuire had the same problem. He actually ended up printing it, scanning it, and emailing it. I know that involves a lot of effort, but if you have a phone, you could also try and take a picture of it and text it to me, or
let me try.
Otherwise, get it to me. I think there's a problem with the courthouse firewall or security or something trying to submit it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why I had to come into chambers to use my system here. So let me see if I can print it, Jason, and then I'll email it. I think if I take a picture of it, I'm going to have to do it in bits.
Okay. Well, whatever works, as long as I get the numbers.
Okay, let me see if I can do that.
Well, Judge Katzman is working on that, Jason. Okay. I don't know why my form, why I'm not seeing these boxes, but for the defense third witness, I have the box for the name of the witness and for the witness performance, but somehow or other, the remaining two boxes for cross and direct seem to not be showing. So I could submit this, again, assuming I conquer the technical aspects of submitting the form, I could submit it and text you also what would be the missing numbers.
That would be fine. Can you see this form on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, what are you missing from this form on the one that you
go down to the bottom?
Okay.
Okay. Third witness. Okay, that's what it looks like. Am I misreading it? Third witness, I see third witness and witness performance, and shouldn't it have cross and direct below that?
No, that is up here, right above it.
Right above it.
So the direct examination of that third witness, you would score.
Oh, right. Okay, I see. So I was reading it the other way, which means I think I have to go back and fix. I might have been.
Okay.
It looks like earlier in the trial, I screwed up which boxes I was entering into. So now I see the way it's supposed to read, and I'm going to go fix my form.
Okay.
And then I'll hope that if Judge Katzman's able to solve the next technical problem, maybe I will be able to also.
Okay. Well, you both have my cell number. So if something comes up or I can assist in any way, don't hesitate to contact me.
Okay, thanks.
This is Lynn Pearson. I submitted mine and it looks like it went through okay. So let me know if there's any problem.
I will. I'll go confirm receipt of that now.
I guess I should say for the participants, I think and Jason, and tell me if this, I know it's late, but normally we would, after we've gotten our scores in, we would spend a few minutes giving feedback. Do we have time for that?
Yes, I would do that. I would just spend a couple of minutes each person and give some feedback. Okay. I just want to remind you not to tell them who you thought won the round based on points. If you want to, you could say who you thought would have won the round in a real courtroom setting, given the burden of proof and things like that. But be careful, because that doesn't necessarily mean that that was the winner on the points or the merits of the case. The performance of the case, I mean. So in any event, yeah, go ahead and give a few comments and let the students go, and we'll get the score sheet situation figured out.
Thanks. So, and I'm going to be a minute or two before, all right, I'm going to take a minute or two longer than Ms. Pearson and Judge Katzman, because looks like I have to go back and make some corrections in how I input it on my score sheet. So maybe after both of you have completed your conquered all technical problems and completed sending in your score sheets, you could let me know if you're ready, and maybe the two of you could give your feedback before I do. And in conjunction with that, I usually recommend that you go ahead and start by telling the participants just a little bit about yourselves, and then give your feedback. So if that works, let me know, and I'm going to be going through my score sheet to try and fix what I did wrong.
Lynn, did you want to go first, or? I'm not sure exactly how we have to do this.
I was gonna say, this is my first time doing this. So since you have a little more experience than me, why don't you go ahead first?
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to mention, I thought you all did a fabulous job. I'm Steve Katzman. I was in private practice as a lawyer handling criminal defense and domestic cases for about 42 years. And in May of last year, I was appointed by the governor to be a county court judge. So I had a late in life career change, which I'm enjoying very much. I also work with students in a mock trial class up in the Littleton Public Schools at Arapahoe High School. What I wanted to mention is that the challenge of presenting a case via WebEx or Zoom is immense, even for attorneys who are professionals. And trying to handle the exhibits and get across to the court is a major challenge. What I thought was very effective was the plaintiff's theme. It was very clear, the ABC theme, very memorable. And I thought that was a very good tactic. The arguments were excellent. Everybody was very well spoken, and everyone was very well prepared. The only comment that I have that I would hope you would be able to work into your next rounds would be there was a little too, particularly in the examination of the witnesses, there was a little too much reading of your questions and your answers. And as a result of that, it lost connection with the audience. And that's the huge challenge for WebEx, is maintaining contact. And instead of having eye contact through the camera, you were looking or reading and moving around trying to catch your notes. So I would just ask that for your future rounds, try to get a better handle on what your questions are going to be and your answers, so that you can connect better with the audience. But otherwise, I thought it was very well done.
Should I go ahead and start? Are you
Please
all-
do, please do.
I would concur with the comments. If I commend all of you in tackling this via Zoom. My background is completely not legal, although I'm married to an attorney, so I'll take a little bit of credit there. My background is all in commercial banking, but I have done a lot of public speaking and presentations as a subject matter expert, not in a legal sense, but in a just general business sense. So one of the things that feedback I would give is, and this is so much harder via Zoom. So like I said, I really commend you all for tackling that difficulty. And I too, from a business standpoint, had to deal with doing some of these kind of things via Zoom. And it really it makes things that much harder. And I'm doing it myself right now because I'm a little bit nervous in this format, but I would just really watch and work on, because it's so common in speaking, all the ums and ahs. And like I said, I constantly have to tackle it myself. But the more you do that and the more you repeat that, it starts to impact your sense of confidence, I think, in yourself, as well as in the audience that's listening to you. So that's completely not in any way legal feedback from a procedural standpoint, but I think it's something that would take you far just in how you present yourself individually. I also noticed a couple of times, and again, I think this is one of the Zoom challenges, because we're not all used to just sitting in front of a camera versus that sense of being in front of people, and how you can kind of feed off of body language and things like that. A few times where people were kind of, giving facial expressions that showed, oh gosh, I can't believe I'm not comfortable here. So really try to be cognizant of that. But I too, again, as Mr. Katzman commented, really thought that in the plaintiff's case, I really like the ABC concept. It just, a lot of facts, a lot of details that really helped to resonate in an easy way to recall things in the case that you were trying to present. I also thought that the defense did a good job in highlighting some of the questioning of the validity of some of the witness.
Thank you, Lynn. I guess I'll make a few comments. So first, I've been a judge here on the district court in this courthouse for about 5.5 years now. I think I've done the high school mock trial for every year. I can't remember if this is the first or the second time that we've done it on WebEx. It's definitely different, but so I'm broadcasting from a real courtroom, and the one that I use, that is my workplace every day of the week. I'm sorry you couldn't be here in person. I hope if you do this again next year, I'm confident we'll be in person at that point, and it'll be a thrill to have you all here in person. I just want to say I agree with Judge Katzman's comments and Lynn's comments. I'm so impressed by the hard work and the preparation and the passion that you've put into this. That kind of work is rare, I think, to see that kind of work put into an effort like this in today's world. It'll take you far in life. I forgot to give my background, just a couple of words. So I've been a judge for 5.5 years here. Before that, I was practicing commercial litigation here in Colorado Springs for about 15 years. And before that, I was a federal prosecutor in Washington and Philadelphia. And who was it? Like one of your witnesses, like Dr. Rogers, I'm a graduate of UC Berkeley. I don't know if, I think it's probably too early in your life since you're the high school group rather than the college group, which we will be getting here over the next few weeks. Maybe too early to say if you're interested in going to law school or anything like that. But I'm always amazed. We do college and we do high school each year here. And I'm amazed that you're capable of doing this in high school. This is something I never would have been able to do in high school, to get up there and make these kind of arguments and keep all these details in mind and stand up with all that stress and to speak with precision and passion. So I want to say you've got some good coaches, and you've and the work you've put in has been incredibly impressive. And I hope you'll continue. I hope you'll keep this up for the next years in high school, if there are any, and for college. And those of you, any of those of you who are interested in considering going on and becoming lawyers and courtroom trial lawyers, you're going to do a great job. I like to say to all of you that I know some people, some of you at this early stage in life are just naturally confident on your feet, and others are just starting to learn that. For those of you who are starting to learn that and less far along the curve of getting confident in a courtroom, I want to say that doesn't in any way mean that you'll be any less of a lawyer than those who are already confident in public at this young age. I know by the time when I was in law school, and I think it was my second or third year of law school, and I did moot court, and I couldn't get more than a few words out without completely choking up. Eventually, I went to a job where I was in court every day, and the fear went away. So every lawyer has their own style. It takes introverts as well as extroverts, even though that may be hard to believe if you're one of those like me who's starting out as an introvert. Just remember, you don't have to be like your neighbor who maybe stands up and belts things out in court with complete confidence. If you become a lawyer, you will become an effective lawyer just by learning to become the person who you are. And by presenting as the person who you are, you'll find your own voice and become an effective advocate. So thank you so much. Is there anything else? Jason is back before we let everybody go.
No, congratulations, everybody, and thank you to all the volunteers. And I have everybody's score sheet
Except
now,
for mine.
Except for you, Judge Bentley, and I will work with you on that. And so you have my cell phone number, or do you want me to stay on the?
I think I just printed. I had the same tech problem that Judge Katzman had, so I hit print. So I'll take photos and I'll text it to the number that I called on earlier, and you can just let me know if that went through.
I will. Thank you.
Okay.
And to the students, we will be sending the pairings to your coaches later tonight for tomorrow morning. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, teams.
Thank you.